Hey guys, we're hanging out in Southern California, checking out the Bulls Wildflow EVO RS racing spec. Kind of interesting bike. It's like cross-country, 120 millimeters of travel, front and rear, Fox suspension. Gotta love that. Boost hub spacing, but 29ers on this thing, 29 by 2.35. So, you know, I've seen a lot of e-bikes, especially in recent years, where they have like the plus size tires. So these ones, you got like kind of a wider diameter, lower attack angle, a little bit lighter, in some ways more nimble than like a plus size tire. You're not going to get the same sort of like wider traction. There's good air volume here though, and I've heard that it's really interesting. The effective diameter of like a 27.5 by 2.8, for example, is very similar. So to me, this is really interesting. You know, I saw the boost hub spacing and I was like, I wonder if this could roll with, you know, some plus size tires. And I feel like that's a possibility. You know, it looks like there's a little bit of room back here, but I haven't tested it. I just wanted to call that out before we jump in. Through axles, front and rear, quick release. And if you aren't familiar with the boost hub spacing, it's just a little bit wider. So it's like 110 millimeters up front instead of 100, 148 in the rear instead of 142 or 135. And that wider hub spacing gives you a sturdier bracing angle. And this bike's set up really nicely. We've actually got slightly thicker 13 gauge spokes in the rear, 14 up front. And even though there's no hub motor or anything, it tends to be like a little bit more weight and a little bit more pressure going on back here, especially because this is a mid-drive powered electric bike. But before I get into that, we'll just talk about the spread back here. 11 speeds, 11 sprockets, 11 to 46 tooth. So it's pretty good spread. We've got the Shimano Deore XT. It does have the one-way clutch, so in the on position like this, it's just a little bit tighter, reduces the chain bounce. I noticed there was no slap guard on this one, but it is a bit of a kind of a pre-production or early model from them. You'll notice that the battery, kind of the drive unit thing, is not quite seamless right there. That will be resolved in the final build. So I just want to be honest with you guys about what we're seeing here. It's still performing quite well, and I just love the color. You know, this is like a matte black. We've got this silver glossy, kind of fades into a gloss black down here. Very nice. Bulls has always done a great job beautifying their products, in my opinion, and I'm a big fan of Fox. So these are the 34 float. We've got that black anodized coating on there, so you don't have like the shiny silver or even like the Kashima. I like the Kashima coat, but black, this bike is just all blacked out. We've got compression adjust, of course, up here, rebound adjust at the bottom, 3 settings, sort of the climb, trail, descend on the rear suspension, as well as same thing, rebound adjust. So both really nice, really lightweight, being air, and then you can sag those to your body weight. I'm not getting quite the same like travel and cushion as like the Fox 36, some of the longer travel suspension on other Bulls bikes. But again, this is kind of like the racing spec cross-country electric bike. So having the slightly lighter, a little bit less drag on those tires, maybe a little bit more for the type of terrain we're on here. There's actually like a gravel trail that I'm going to ride on a little bit later, but I didn't take this out for the discussion on the full mountain bike trails. I actually did last night. I was riding with Fernando. This is Joaquin, by the way.
How's it going?
From Bulls. So, you know, we've got a bunch of bikes here, all with different setups. This is what I'm talking about over here. So, you know, 36. So the stanchion's a little bit wider, a little bit beefier, longer travel on this one. So they're just set up for different applications. And in a lot of ways, for me, this is my favorite type of bike. It's super lightweight, 42.2 pounds. That's extremely lightweight for an electric bike. Of course, there is a trade-off in terms of power and range, because this is using the Fazua motor and drive system. So down here, 2.8 pounds, there's like this little bottom bracket, and it interfaces with the motor drive unit that's actually inside this tube. This is not all battery. Like half of it is drive unit, and then the top half is a battery pack, and the battery can slide out of it, and you can replace this whole thing with just like an empty down tube cover and use it as storage for like some tools, maybe like a pump or extra tire, things like that. And I think that's kind of interesting. So the way that they're positioning these bikes is that you really get 2 bikes in one. You have almost non-electric bike with the addition of 2.8 pounds for that bottom bracket, because that doesn't really come off. It doesn't introduce any extra drag or anything, but it is a little bit different than a traditional bottom bracket on an acoustic bike. And then right here, this is about 7 pounds, so 3.1 pounds for the battery, which is a 36 volt, 7 amp hour, so 252 watt hours. It's about half of what we see on like some of the more, I would just call it standard. Like right now in the current model year, it's like 500 watt hours is sort of like average. Some of the Bulls bikes have like 600 plus watt hours. So this is much more active. It's like for a rider who is going to be pedaling, just wants some help climbing, maybe getting started, take the edge off of a knee injury. That's me, exactly. And you save like 10 pounds. A lot of these other bikes, especially full suspension, they're like 50 plus pounds. So 42.2 pounds, not too bad. And then the drive unit right there, that you know, they connect. So the two of these combined is about 7 pounds, 3.1 pounds there. 2.8 pounds is what you can't take off the bike. So I just want to be really clear and kind of give you that feedback before we get into how this works. It's pretty sophisticated. It's measuring your rear wheel speed with this magnet right here that's built right onto that rear disc brake rotor. Pretty cool. It passes by a little sensor in this area that is not going to get bumped quite as easily as the ones that are mounted here. And you know, a lot of times there's a spoke magnet. Let's see if this bike has it. Kind of showcase that. No, I think this is another tight integration. Bulls has done a really good job with that. For an off-road bike, it's nice that you don't have to worry so much about knocking that out of position or getting your spoke twisted or something. So it's measuring rear wheel speed, pedal cadence, and I think it has 2 torque sensors. So it's actually pretty dynamic, pretty smooth. It's not the kind of bike where if you're just pedaling along, it's helping you automatically. You have to apply a little bit of pressure, and in a way that reduces how much battery draw you're taking. And again, with a battery that's like half the capacity of a lot of others, that's a good thing. Helps you to go further. So I estimated like 20 to 50 miles. Really depends on the tire pressure, the terrain, how much, you know, is it steep, is it windy? There's so many factors. But that's my takeaway. They are using Samsung cells, by the way, and Fazua is giving a pretty good warranty for their system. So I think it's like 2 years for the battery and 30 months for like all the other drivetrain components. And Bulls has like a 5-year warranty on their frames. And you guys have dealer network that's in the US and Canada. It's been growing a lot in the past several years. I've been reviewing these bikes, been pretty impressed. There's a lot to say about going in and getting fitted. This comes in 3 different sizes. So we're looking at the medium 44 centimeter frame. It's working out pretty well for me. I'm 5'9", I'm a 135 pound rider. I kind of wish that I would be able to raise this seat post even just a little bit more. I've got this fully extended. I'm not quite getting full leg extension. I just didn't want to disconnect the dropper. So I do love that it has a dropper, 100 millimeters right there. Cellular Verve saddle, really nice. You've got some flat, I believe these might be Velo, locking grips, 2-way trigger shifter, that's the high lever, and then multi-shift for the low lever. One of the benefits of having, I'm just going to say, like kind of a weaker drive system here is that maybe it's not going to put quite as much wear through your chain and the cassette back here. This doesn't have shift detection like some of the Bosch systems, and even that's imperfect. So you do want to kind of ease off as you're shifting gears, as with an acoustic bike. If you're climbing a steep hill, ease off a little bit so you don't, you know, kind of wreck that and bend these things or scrape them up. Narrow, wide chainring up front, and then this is 38 tooth. FSA cranks, 165 millimeters, so a little bit shorter, maybe so you don't get pedal strikes. Comes with these plastic platform Bulls pedals. And one of the other cool, I guess, choices that Bulls has made is a lot of their bikes have this monkey link setup. So you don't have to use this, but this is a magnetic interface for a water bottle that just clicks right on. See, it does have standard bosses as well, so you can take that off. So I think the bottle's kind of expensive. You're paying a bit of a premium, and if you're like me, occasionally set your bottle down, right off, and never see it again. We do also have a monkey link rear light that's built right onto this seat clamp. So that's pretty cool. You don't have to use these. And some of you might be like, well, you don't have a whole lot of battery capacity to work with. Do you really want to waste it on lights? For me, it's kind of nice to have this option. I think they also have like a fender option as well. You do have to pay extra for these. They don't just come with the bike. And then here's the headlight. I like that it steers. It kind of points where you steer. And there's actually some adjustability. I used to complain about this and be like, you can't aim it up or down. It really depends on like your head tube angle, but you can. I was mistaken. See, there's an adjustment bolt in the bottom. So for me, that's pretty cool. Points where you steer, stays out of the way, keeps this nice clean cockpit. We are looking at Magura hydraulic disc brakes, adjustable reach, 2-finger levers. Really nice stuff. high quality quad piston calipers, 180 millimeter rotors. So you're getting pretty good stopping power. And again, just the boost, the through axles, it's a nice setup all around. I've been impressed with this bike, and it is a carbon fiber frame. I kind of saved the best for last. Joaquin keeps reminding me that the rear triangle is aluminum. So it's not full carbon, but you're definitely reducing some of the weight there. You are spending a pretty penny for this bike, $59.99. Of course, it's like the latest and greatest technology and high-end just hardware. Like Fox, it's definitely leading stuff in my book. Some of my favorite bike parts, actually. I really like Fox. I like the way it looks, like how it's set up. Pretty short stem here, 0-degree rise. There's a little bit of adjustability, configurability that you could do up here. There's the seat post dropper, and then there is the, I guess it's kind of the display panel, although it doesn't give you a whole lot of feedback. That's how you interact with the drive system. But before we talk about that, I want to complain about a couple things. This is the Fazua charger. I like that it's small, 1.4 pounds. It's a 2-amp charger, so it's not like the fastest, but it's fine, especially for a 252 watt-hour battery. Uses the Rosenberger magnetic interface charging port, so that's cool, but you have to take the battery off the bike to charge it, and that's just an extra step. You know, you got to take the keys, come over here, insert them. At least this locking core is not down there. It's up high, stays out of the way, but it's on the non-drive side of the bike. There's no kickstand here, so if you're laying this down, you kind of got to like fumble with it. So you got to like unlock it. You can put the keys in your pocket. Then you press this black button. It like releases that battery pack. You don't want to drop that. That's your motor and your battery all in one. And then you could finally plug it in and charge it. You know, ideally you'd be charging in a cool, dry location. It's going to make the bike lighter, easier to hang on the back of a car or something like that. Then a little bit of this stuff down here gets exposed, so maybe having that optional down tube cover would be a good thing if you're putting this on your car or just riding it around. So there's just a little extra. You're spending a little bit of extra money here and there, and then that inconvenience. And if you haven't ridden for like 9+ hours, the battery system sort of like goes to sleep. So you have to unlock it again and press the power button right there on the top of that like drive unit battery thing, and then come up here, and then you can finally turn it on from this location. So that's what I'm going to do. There we go. It's lightweight, it's compact. There's no brightness adjustability. They do have a mobile app, and you could mount that maybe to your stem cap or something like that, and that would be kind of cool. It gives you a little bit of feedback. I'm going to show you that in a minute. You know, it's fairly tactile. You press these buttons, they're clicky. There's no beeps or anything like that. I don't actually think it has a walk mode, and I'm not sure how to adjust the lights because this one's not fully wired in. I'm guessing you hold the up button. I welcome your feedback on that if you have it. They have an optional like control units called the FX, and it would go right here. So it just kind of replaces this button. Now you have to reach down here to change the assist level, but there's only one power step. So you just say power, and then the whole thing's going. It's not like power, unlock, all that, power again. So it's a little bit inconvenient. There's also no USB charging ports or anything on this. And so if you are running the app, it's going to be draining your cell phone battery, and you're not able to take advantage of that modest reservoir of power down there. So I'm trying to draw out the question marks for me, because for some people it's like, whatever, I don't care. I just want a lightweight e-bike that's super stealthy. It blends in, it's quiet, really well balanced, kind of minimalist control interface. It does a great job at that. And in so many ways, this is like a new category of e-bike. They're traditional acoustic bikes. They're lightweight. I can toss it around. I'm not a big guy, so I like that. I can lift it easily. I feel good about it. But then my knee starts hurting, you know, or maybe I can't go quite as far because I'm a bit of a weekend warrior. This bike gives you the best of both worlds, but the best, not quite. It's not as light and nimble as like a non-electric bike. I mean, it's not quite as powerful or long range as a full-on, you know, this is a Broza, but Bosch, Yamaha, Shimano. So you're in this middle space, which again, for me is pretty cool. I like it. I could see myself getting this bike and having a blast with it, actually. But I just want to, again, present this and try to give you like that full review perspective. So coming back over here to the display, when you turn it on, you know, it lights up. We got all these white LEDs surrounding the two buttons, and those stay on all the time. They help you see this, which at night could be a little bit annoying. It's kind of in your face. And then over here we have these 10 bars that change colors when you arrow up or down. So white is like off, no assist. Green is the lowest level of assist. It's like 75% support. Blue is medium. It's like river mode is what they call it. And it's 150%. And then red, rocket, it's like 240% assist, up to 60 Newton meters of torque. One of my other sort of complaints or question marks is they say this only supports up to 85 RPM, so pedal strokes per minute. That's lower than a lot of the other ones. They say like 100, 120 plus. But my actual experience riding is that you still hear the motor, it still spins, so maybe it's just not helping you a lot beyond that higher pedal cadence. It goes up to 20 miles per hour here in the US. In Europe, the Fazua motor it's set to like 25 kilometers per hour, so 15.5 miles per hour. You know, and when I first saw this at Interbike a couple years ago, I was like, oh, bummer, you know, it was on a road bike, and I was like, the whole point is to go fast. Like, why even have a motor, the extra weight, the complexity, the cost? And they were like, well, it does help you get going, which is true, and it helps you climb. So you can go further. You don't have to worry about that big hill. You don't have to worry so much about the wind or getting back home. I get that, but I'm super stoked that in the US it goes up to, you know, 32 kilometers per hour, 20 miles per hour. So love the integrated wiring. The bike is beautiful. I mean, it's really something to look at and ride. But that's kind of it. Those are the different assist levels. Now you might notice there's an empty LED up here. That's because we've used one of the 10 bars, so it's 10% increments. And that's also denoting your battery capacity. So at some point you might just have one little red tick, and that means you have 10% or roughly 10% left. You know, when you're way back here, having colors is nice because it's a little bit easier to interpret, but it's hard to know how full the battery is. Also, that yellow light means it's like an error warning, so we unplugged the speed sensor just so you could see it. When we hook to the app, it actually turns green, and there's also like a red one. So that's sort of a diagnostics readout there. And Joaquim has the app. Maybe you can pull that up, bud? Yeah, so what we're looking at here looks like kind of a map. You can use this thing to navigate, and you can click the little circle at the bottom, and you can change to state of charge, which is battery percentage, power, which is watts, or speed. And then it changes, says, oh, here's how fast you're going. So again, imagine your phone is mounted right here. Maybe you got the brightness turned up or whatever. You don't want to smash your phone up, and maybe you get a battery backpack so you don't run down. It's neat that they have it. And on the website, they've got a screenshot that shows even more features in the app. So maybe they're getting ready to launch those. I'm not really sure. This is what I've experienced so far, and you know, I actually enjoy it. I'm glad that Bulls not only is trying out this newer drive system, which, by the way, I think the company launched, the Fazua company, they launched in like 2013, and then their first bikes hit the market in like 2017. So we're in 2019, 2020 right now, and we're finally getting them in the US, again, sort of a modified state. And I just love the integration down here with the speed sensor and everything. I think they've done a good job. Any thoughts? Anything I missed, man?
I think you've got pretty much everything right now. Yeah.
What do you think of this bike? You've ridden it around a little bit.
I actually enjoy it. Like you said, I like the lightweight. You know, like you said, the assistance not the best, or it's not the hardest assistance or the fastest assistance, but it does help you out when you're going up hills and things like that. So
yeah, if I was to compare this to like some of the Bosch motors, like the CX, which is their mountain bike motor. By the way, there's really only one Fazua system right now that I'm aware of here in the US. It's the Fazua Evasion. And it's the same one on the road bike as on the mountain bike. And at first I like took this up a hill and I was like, oh man, what's gonna happen? It actually helps. You know, you have to be in the right gear. It's a mid drive, so it leverages your gear. If you're in a low gear, this thing is gonna climb pretty well. 60 Newton meters, still quite good. Of course, I was in the highest level of assist. It helped me. I didn't have to get up. My knees weren't hurting, but pretty quickly it drops off. This is not about maintaining a high speed. It's more about like kind of getting started and maintaining those medium speeds or low speeds so that you don't get completely worn out. Is that your experience too?
Pretty much, yeah. Just helps you out, you know, get up the hill when you need the assistance.
Which is a nice thing. It's a good thing. So enough said, I'm gonna get on this thing and take a little ride. So I'm in the highest level of assist in a relatively low gear, and we got some nice off-road climbing ahead of us. So I just wanted to see how this thing performs. This is my first time actually taking it up something that steep. The seat is as high as I can go. Actually, I wish it could go a little bit higher because I'm not getting full leg extension. So I am going to need that motor to help me out. I have that sensitive knee. So let's hope that it works. So far, so good. It's actually surprising me. I mean, I'm not having to get up, climbing. I've climbed this before, like without assist, and I'm standing. So, I mean, this is This is awesome. I'm actually really impressed. Okay, guys, I always ride in the highest level of assist because I'm trying to show you how the motor sounds, like at its worst, so to speak. This one's pretty quiet. I'm just gonna hop on and follow Keem. We're gonna go over to the gravel trail. So you can see that chainring spinning a little bit, you know, even after I stop pedaling, but it's pretty responsive, and it's just, yeah, it's pretty quiet. I have noticed in some of the higher speed pedaling that it turns into kind of a whine sound, like, Ree. Do you mind trading off with me real quick, bud? Look at that one-handed braking. It's a nice bike. Like, regardless of what drive system, this bike is set up really well. Thanks, dude. Now, this one's got the Brosa system, transflective display. Is similar in terms of size and compactness, but way more readouts. See how it's the different assist levels in those boxes, current speed, and the battery indicator. There's a lot more to it than that one. It might be a little bit more expensive, but it's modular, so if you broke it, it'd be pretty easy to replace. This one, I noticed the wire goes all the way from it down into the bike. Do you know how easy those are to replace?
It's pretty simple. You just take the battery out and just guide it to the head tube itself, but it's pretty simple to replace.
So it's not too bad?
It's not too bad. Yeah.
Okay, well, and in some ways, having these quick disconnects, we actually experienced that earlier where we were working on the bike, changing a flat the other day, and it kind of got unplugged on the bottom. It was like, oh yeah, you know, you gotta be careful for these. If you get an error, you can call your shop and stuff, but you could also look like, did something get unplugged? So here we go. Well, watch out for these ladies. Maybe you can take it through the grass, but I'll just follow you. Got a little off-road section here. Oh boy, oh yeah. Feel like I'm trials. Sweet, can I trade off again? Thanks, man. Okay guys, the other thing I want to point out is when you pedal backwards, it's got that clicky noise and it doesn't actually cycle the chainring, so you can't do chain maintenance as easily without a stand. Like sometimes I'll back cycle and I'll lube the chain and stuff. Not a huge thing. Does yours back cycle on that one or no?
I don't think it bike cycles either. No.
Yeah, so a lot of the e-bikes, that one, there's no click and it's fast. Like you can kick that thing and it's gonna go flying, whereas at least this one, it's got a little bit of resistance to it. So yeah, and there's some of the wires and stuff in the bottom that I was talking about earlier. They're a little bit exposed, but like most e-bikes, this is designed to be highly water resistant. You just don't want to go spraying it with like high pressure water. Okay. I'm going to change gears and stuff as we ride. This system doesn't have shift detection like some of the Bosch systems do, but it uses a standard size chainring, which is kind of nice. A lot of the new systems are. It's got narrow wide tooth pattern, got those 11 speeds in the rear, 11 to 46 tooth, so really nice spread. Again, 250 watts to 400 and 60 newton meters of torque. I was surprised because the Fazua folks told me that the max RPM is around 85, but I've actually been pedaling well beyond that and I can still hear it. So, you know, I can turn it off all the way off and the hum goes away. So I know the motor is still trying. I don't know if it's really adding that much power, but I just wanted to demonstrate that in a little ride test here. So I'm in the highest level of assist. Here we go. Hey guys, so we're cruising down the trail. Real nice shot of the LED display panel right there. Really easy to see right now. It's just kind of a clean stretch of smooth pavement, so I wanted to ride. You could get a sense for how that motor sounds. At this point, I'm above 20. Can't really tell, but I know that because we left Fernando in the dust back there. To be honest with you, I was struggling a little bit to keep up with him. He was on the Shimano motor on the way here, the E8000. So, you know, this is lighter touch. It's a more active feeling. I like how light this bike is. I'm kind of bunny hopping it a little bit better. Still at 44 pounds, you know, it's not 50 plus, which is what a lot of these other full suspension bikes are with like Bosch, Yamaha, Brosa. But, you know, it's also not as light as like a 30-pound carbon fiber non-electric bike. Yeah, it's feeling pretty good. Making progress. It's a beautiful evening out here, huh? Feeling pretty stable here, pretty comfortable. Not quite as comfortable as the plus size tires, the longer suspension, but tight, active. Like a lot of my energy is getting transferred like right into the frame, the pedals, and then the wheels. And it is comfortable going over these bumps and stuff because of the 29ers. So guys, I think that's it. I hope this has answered any questions that you might have had about the new Fazua motor. I did ask them, like, how is it pronounced? And they said you kind of separate the two, like Fazua. But in the US, people are probably just gonna call it the Fazua motor. Sounds pretty fun to me, pretty good. For the full written review on this and some of the other Bulls electric bikes coming out, check out ElectricBikeReview.com. I have all the specs, all the details, so you can compare the bikes back to back and chime in with some questions or feedback or comments. No, these are not my glasses. I forgot them. They loaned them to me. What do you think? You like these? I don't know. I've had fun with this thing. Ride safe out there. Love ya. We'll see you next time.